Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're focusing on something really fundamental for academic success and just clear communication, IELTS writing.
Exactly. And the source we're looking at today, it's really designed to help English language learners,
Yeah.
not just boost their IELTS writing scores, but also get more confident talking about how they write.
Which is great news for our listeners, I think, because this isn't just test prep, is it?
Not at all. We're really digging into what makes academic writing work well, and crucially, giving you the language to talk about your own writing journey.
So if you've ever felt a bit stuck trying to express complex ideas or maybe just wanted to understand like the building blocks of good academic style, this is for you.
Right. Think of it as kind of unlocking the code.
We'll be unpacking some key phrasal verbs, useful academic word pairings, collocations, and common mistakes, too.
Yeah, and strategies for clear communication. Plus even some tips for managing, the stress that can come with talking about your writing. Basically a shortcut to feeling more fluent about it all.
Okay, let's start cracking that code then. I think a story helps here. Tell us about Maya.
Right, Maya. So she'd taken the IELTS test a few times, but she kept getting stuck. Band 6 in writing, couldn't seem to push past it.
Okay, a common frustration, I imagine.
Very common. And her big realization was that just drilling grammar rules wasn't cutting it. It was something deeper.
What was it then?
It was her whole approach, really. She realized improving writing is like any complex skill, you need a system. You need to be reflective. Just trying harder wasn't enough.
So what did she actually do? What was her system?
Well, she got very deliberate. She started reading sample essays every day, but not just reading them.
How so?
She was actively underlining useful phrases, trying to figure out how they worked in context, like reverse engineering them.
Ah, okay. Smart.
And she started a writing journal, not for diary entries, but for organizing her ideas before she even started drafting an essay. Pre-thinking, essentially.
Understanding before producing. Makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And instead of just trying to memorize model answers, which often doesn't work, she focused on really understanding the essay questions first.
And then outlining.
Yes, creating clear outlines became key to get that logical structure. She also consciously worked on using linking words, naturally, not just sprinkling them in.
Avoiding repetition too, I assume.
Yes, that was another focus. And she worked with a tutor, specifically on getting the right academic tone and making her arguments stronger.
So all this effort, did it pay off?
It really did. After about 3 months of this focused work, she didn't just feel more confident, she actually achieved a band 7.5.
Wow, that's a significant jump.
Huge. And now she actually mentors other students. So her journey really came full circle.
That's a fantastic story. So what's the big takeaway from Maya for everyone listening?
Her key message is simple but powerful. Writing is thinking, just in a more organized way. It really highlights that good writing starts with clear, structured thought.
Okay, so strategy and mindset are crucial. Let's move on to some specific language tools from our source. Phrasal verbs first. Why are these so important for talking about writing?
Well, phrasal verbs are just incredibly common in everyday spoken English, right? So using them when you talk about your writing process makes you sound, more natural, more fluent.
They help you describe the process itself?
Precisely. These combinations, like verb plus preposition, they carry very specific meanings about learning and improving.
Okay, let's take the first one, work on.
Right. Work on. Just means basically to try to improve something over time. So you might say, I've been working on my coherence and cohesion.
Meaning making your ideas connect better.
Exactly. Or a teacher might say, you need to work on expanding your ideas clearly. It suggests an ongoing effort.
Very useful. What about figure out?
Figure out is about understanding or solving something. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to structure my body paragraphs.
Yeah.
If you're actively trying to solve that puzzle.
Or maybe looking back, she figured out how to use academic phrases more effectively.
Perfect example. It means she found the solution, she understood how to do it.
Next up, point out.
Point out means to mention something specific, to draw attention to it, often used for feedback.
Like, my teacher pointed out that I repeat myself too often.
Exactly. Or in terms of strategy, you should point out both sides of an argument in task 2, highlighting a key requirement.
Got it. And the last one here is focus on.
Focus on is about concentrating your effort. So I need to focus on improving my grammar accuracy. That's your priority.
Or for task 1, maybe, focus on describing trends clearly.
Right. It tells you where to direct your attention. Using these phrasal verbs just makes discussing your learning journey feel much more dynamic.
Definitely. Okay, moving from phrasal verbs to academic language itself. Our source talks about collocations. What are these exactly?
Collocations are basically words that just sound right together because native speakers use them frequently, like natural partners.
And using them makes your writing sound more academic and natural.
Both, yes. It's a key part of fluency. You can have perfect grammar, but if you use unnatural word combinations, your writing can sound a bit awkward, you know?
Okay, examples, please. What are some key ones for academic writing?
Well, a big one is cohesive devices. These are linking words and phrases like in addition, however, therefore.
The glue, as you said before.
Exactly, the glue. The source says cohesive devices improve clarity. But it also warns, quite rightly, that overusing cohesive devices can lower your score.
So balance is key. Don't just stuff them in.
Precisely. Use them appropriately. Another key collocation is clear structure.
Which refers to the overall organization.
Yes, how the essay is built. The source notes, a clear structure makes your essay easier to follow. Things like good paragraphing and clear topic sentences contribute to this.
Makes sense. What about the style?
That brings us to academic tone. Maintaining an appropriate tone is crucial. This means avoiding slang, avoiding overly casual language.
How do you achieve that?
Using phrases like, it can be argued that, or evidence suggests that. These signal a more objective, formal stance. That supports the academic tone.
Okay. And the last one mentioned.
Relevant examples. This is so important. Your examples need to directly support the points you're making.
So you can't just throw in any example.
Absolutely not. As the source says, use relevant examples to support your main ideas. And, crucially, irrelevant examples weaken your argument. They have to fit. They have to strengthen your point.
So mastering these collocations, cohesive devices, clear structure, academic tone, relevant examples, really lifts the quality of the writing.
Definitely. It makes it clearer, more impactful, and more, well, academic.
Now let's talk about errors. The source highlights some common grammatical mistakes. These can really trip learners up, right?
They can. And paying attention to them helps refine both writing and speaking. The first one is a classic, environment versus environmental.
Yes. People say environment problems.
Often, yes. But the correct form is environmental problems. Environmental is the adjective describing problems. It's a common adjective-noun mix-up.
Easy mistake to make if English isn't your first language. What else?
The verb discuss. Sometimes learners say, the essay is discuss about technology.
But it should be.
The essay discusses technology. The verb discuss already means talk about, so you don't need the about afterwards.
Right. Okay. Good one to remember. And the last common error here.
It often happens with opinion phrases, like, in my opinion is people must change.
That sounds wrong. How should it be?
Simple fix. In my opinion, people must change. You need that comma after the introductory phrase, and you don't need the extra is.
Fixing these kinds of errors definitely makes the writing sound stronger, more polished.
Absolutely. It boosts your credibility.
Okay, so beyond specific grammar points, what about broader strategies for communicating clearly? What does the source suggest?
They give some really practical advice. One key strategy is using formal transitions effectively.
Like those cohesive devices we mentioned.
Exactly, but thinking about how you use them to guide the reader. Phrases like, moreover, this trend can be observed, or, on the other hand, some believe, create that smooth logical flow between ideas.
Stops it feeling jumpy.
Precisely. Another big one is stating your position clearly. Don't be wishy-washy.
So be direct.
Yes. Use clear phrases like, I firmly believe that, or, In my view, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. Leave the reader in no doubt about where you stand.
That clarity is important in academic arguments. What else?
Giving structured responses. This applies to speaking too, maybe in the IELTS speaking test, but also in structuring paragraphs.
How does that look in practice?
Using signposting language. Firstly, this issue affects the economy. Secondly, it impacts education. It just organizes your points clearly for the listener or reader. Makes it much easier to follow.
These all sound like solid strategies for making your arguments persuasive and easy to understand.
They really are fundamental building blocks.
Now, talking about your writing, especially for something like IELTS, can be stressful. Any tips from the source on managing that anxiety?
Yes, and they're quite helpful. First, it suggests reflecting on past essays. Look back at your older work to see how far you've come. That builds confidence.
Recognizing your own progress. Nice.
Another interesting tip is to think about explaining your writing process like you're telling a story. Frame it as a narrative. It can make it feel less like a test,
That's a great mental shift. What else?
Memorize useful phrases, academic phrases, not whole essays. Trying to memorize entire essays is overwhelming and usually sounds unnatural anyway.
Focus on the building blocks again.
Exactly. And finally, break down big challenges. If a task feels huge, break it into smaller, manageable steps. That helps you stay calm and focused.
All really practical ways to feel more in control and positive when discussing your writing.
Definitely helps manage the nerves.
Okay, to wrap things up, the source provides some practice exercises to help listeners apply these ideas. Let's quickly mention those.
Good idea. They're designed for active learning. The first one asks you to use figure out and clear structure together in a sentence about essay writing.
So combining a phrasal verb and a key collocation.
Right. The second one is more personal. Talk about your IELTS writing habits using work on, focus on, and academic tone. Gets you reflecting on your own process with the new vocabulary.
Using those phrasal verbs and thinking about style.
And the last one asks you to create a short explanation using relevant examples and cohesive devices, putting support and flow together.
We really encourage everyone listening to pause, maybe, and try these mentally, or even jot them down.
It's the best way to make these concepts stick. Practice is everything.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, it's worth remembering what our source stresses. These writing skills aren't just for a test.
No, they're vital for academic success, for clear communication in so many areas of life. It's a foundational skill.
And being able to talk about your writing, about your process, that really deepens your own understanding, doesn't it? Helps you track your progress.
It really does. And that final thought from the source ties it all together nicely. Clear thinking leads to clear writing, and fluent speaking about it too.
It all comes back to that organized thinking we saw with Maya.
Exactly.
So here's a little challenge for you, our listener, for this week. Pick one area of your writing you want to work on, just one. And try to explain your plan using some of the language we talked about today, maybe a phrasal verb, maybe a collocation.
Yeah, tell yourself, or maybe a study partner, what you plan to focus on. It's great practice. Feel free to share any thoughts or aha moments in the comments, too.
We'd love to hear them. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into IELTS writing and how to talk about it.
We hope this has been genuinely helpful for your learning journey. Keep practicing.